All right, so the audio issues are fixed on my end and I believe on your end. So thank you guys for dealing with me for that. I do appreciate that. This is going to happen sometimes. Again, I'm making some changes to some things here. Tried to add some new technology into the fold, and it completely bombed on me. So I apologize for that. I even got dressed up. What do you guys think? This is called BALLCAP formal right here. A button, a collar. This is BALLCAP formal. Let me check on that. It's still kind of quiet. There is one thing I do want to make sure because I'm wearing headphones for our guests. All right, we're good. I am using we have the right microphone. All right, we have the right microphone. We're going the right way. All right, so a little formal for my taste. Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm like a teacher here. I don't know if we're going to keep this part of the whole BALLCAP thing going. I might have to scale it back. It does feel a little bit too formal. Anyway, we do have some great guests coming in, and I hope you guys are excited about that. It should be fun. Let's dive into the first piece of news, though. I do want to try to get on track here with some of the stuff I had planned. I did want to get into some of the stuff that we had planned, and I did want to talk about, first off, I wanted to talk about Trevor Bauer, guys. I wanted to talk about this whole thing that went down. The biggest news from the last week is that signing. It's just absolutely insane. All indications pointed to him going to the Mets. People claiming to be close to the organization and the situation, saying it was good to go. Even his own media, his website, everything started putting out Mets stuff. Anybody want that autographed Mets hat right now? If you're a Mets fan, the Dodgers get him. They get him. They get even better. But at least that video, My New Home, was really put together nicely for the Dodgers. A lot of the LA themed stuff. Oh, wait. No, he didn't. Okay, sorry. No, he didn't. No, it wasn't. Well, at least he came out right away and explained, had an apology quickly right away. Wait, no, it took 2 days. Okay, no, that didn't happen either. But at least the apology wasn't in written form, like a tweet or anything. He took the time to put together a video. No, that didn't happen either. Okay, well, look, I'm just having fun here, making light of it. I do give him major props for donating some serious cash to some New York charities. That was big by him. But again, the Dodgers get him, and they now are the World Series favorite in my mind. Absolutely love the Dodgers versus the Mets in a playoff series. Like, that would be, at this point, next to Dodgers and Padres, I'd love to see a Dodgers and Mets playoff series. That would be some big stuff. We also had big sort of headline was that the players and the owners finally agreed to something. Like, how often does that happen? They get the health guidelines together. That is good. But the big part about this is that there's not going to be a DH in the National League. Prompting the Mets for some reason to go sign another bat. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, certainly there are some NL teams that could benefit from a universal DH, and there are a lot of free agents that could as well. It could still resurface, right? The two sides could negotiate other elements as the season gets going, or we're in spring training, and maybe they figure out a way to get a universal DH happening. But for now, it's dead. Speaking of the Mets, it's like they have all this Bauer money just sitting there and they don't know what to do with it. It's like, think about it this way. It's like when you're at school and your parents give you $10 for lunch and instead you skip lunch. Or in this case, in the Mets case, lunch skipped the Mets. So you got your $10. You go to the convenience store across the street. You spend that $10 on gum, a candy bar, a soda, and a bag of chips at that convenience store. Almora's the gum, Villar's the candy bar. Question is, who's going to be the soda and bag of chips? Now, along the lines of teams that are trying to, prioritize things and not do it particularly well, is the Blue Jays, right? They need pitching. It's all about pitching. Go get a pitcher, starting pitcher. Taiwan Walker seemed to have shown interest. He's on social media. He's feeling us, right? You got Canadian James Paxton. Let's go get those deals done. but the Jays are talking Marwin Gonzalez. We will dive into that a little bit more later, but the Blue Jays maybe having a tough time prioritizing what the right next move is. I feel like they're trying to focus on the pitching, and then a shiny object appears over in the corner there, and they get distracted. Oh, Marwin Gonzalez is available. Let's try to go do that. It's like they're just putting off the important element that they need to be focused on. It's like me putting off flossing. I know I need to do it. I know it's important, but if it's been a long day and I'm tired, I'm just going to have to do it tomorrow or 1 week out from the dentist appointment. So now Top Series 1 releases tomorrow. Collectors everywhere will be clamoring to get their hands on the product in the hopes of pulling a sweet auto, a one of one maybe, when in reality we'll probably all end up with more common rookie cards than we'll even know what to do with. We have a great show, everybody. I want to introduce my guests. We have some big ones coming up. We have Blue Jays Today joining us in today's show. Then after them, later around 10:30, we'll have Brian Rothmuller, a sports card photographer, joining us in the show. And then a little bit later, 10:45 or so, if we can stay on track, we will have Wardy NYM joining the show. So make sure you stay close to the show. Don't go anywhere. Stay put. Man, I still can't believe the Mets didn't get Trevor Bauer. I'm so mad.
Dealing with post-Trevor Bauer rage?
Who said that?
It's me, announcer guy, here with the latest from Mets Pharmaceuticals, Bauerol.
What's that?
Bauerol is a Mets Pharmaceuticals cure for your aching Bauer ailments. Just take 2 of these and you'll feel something.
It's an Albert Almora Jr. and a Jonathan Villar pill. Thanks, Bauerol.
You're welcome, Jimmy.
I'm not as mad about Trevor Bauer anymore. But I am confused.
Don't take Bauerol if you're allergic to anything. Common side effects are excruciating brain cramps and anal bleeds that may result in death. If you're ready to move on from Trevor Bauer, Bauerol.
All right, everybody, welcome in. All right, our first guest, it is Blue Jays Today. The guys from Blue Jays Today, Nick and Adam, are going to join me. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays, what they need to do next. I made an appearance on their channel. We talked in depth about what the Blue Jays could do. I want to welcome them in right now. Technology, stay with me here. All right, let's do one thing. I want to make sure we get that, and we're good to go. Guys, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Jim?
Good, buddy. We're good. I loved that. Yeah. I loved that.
Bauerol?
I loved that.
Yeah, Mets fans need some Bauerol for sure.
It was a rough day for them. I do feel bad. For them. But to anybody in the channel maybe hasn't seen Blue Jays Today yet, this is Nick. This is Adam. The guys are constantly pumping out some good Blue Jays content. I know there are going to be some familiar people here in the chat already. BZ Baseball, Kyle Duffield, Rachel, giving some love to Blue Jays and the guys over there. Let's just dive right into it, guys. Give me your opinion. What's taking so long with the pitching? We talked about it on Saturday night, I think is when we recorded, and nothing's happened. What's going on?
I think Nick's got something to say. He seems pretty worked up. What's up, man?
Bro, I think that like everyone is just taking a very long nap right now, you know? Like we had that one busy week. We got Springer. We went for Semien. We did Yates. And then the management's like, whoa, man. Whoa, I know we got problems. I know we got stuff. I got to take a breather.
I think it's also, well, the whole market right now is trying to figure itself out. Bauer just signed to a ridiculous deal. And now everyone's like, well, now do I have to pay Taiwan Walker $20 million a year? Right. It's still there's a figure out process, and as well, like the Mets are now in the game. They got to be sending out some offers for sure for Taiwan Walker and like a Paxton and Odorizzi as well.
But you don't have to pay him $20 million because we are not crazy.
No,
like the Dodgers. Hopefully.
Yeah, it really is. You bring up a good point. That Bauer deal had to have set the market, right? Like that is what Jake Odorizzi is going to say. Okay, he made this much. Now, I'm not him, but here are my numbers in relation to him. So you need to pay me in relation to
according to that.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, there's a great little post that was out there about comparing Trevor Bauer's numbers to Tanner Roark. And the career numbers. Yeah. And they were very scary similar.
Actually, it's shockingly that Tanner Roark's career numbers are better.
They are.
They are better.
Not to say
that Tanner Roark at this point in his career is even remotely close to that.
But it's an argument,
Right.
It's an argument that if I was Jake Odorizzi, I would be making now.
I agree. It's the Tanner Roark situation, I think, is maddening to all Blue Jay fans. Because the other part, I've mentioned this before, I think they're stuck starting him. Like I think he will be the number 5 starter. If we, unless they completely blow it out, maybe they get 2 pitchers. If they go make a trade, we talked about trades for Sonny Gray or Kyle Hendricks or Luis Castillo or any of the pitchers that are available, right? And go get Walker or Paxton. If they only way that Roark is out of the situation is if they go get 2 pitchers, right? Do you guys have a pitcher that you favor the most out of everybody that's out there?
Well, one guy who, we didn't actually talk about it on our podcast, but a lot of people have brought him up to us. I'm sure that they've probably been asking you about him as well. It is the Colorado Rockies guy, Marquez. That's somebody who I have majorly on my radar. I've been looking into his numbers a lot. Yeah. And if I was the management, I would be calling up these guys and I'd be saying, hey, Rockies, I know that you guys will sell this man for a bag of donuts and our ranked, 80th prospect. Can we buy?
Yeah. Oh, he's excellent, though. If you look at his numbers outside of Coors Field, he is a stud. Coors Field's inflated his numbers for sure, but I think it's a good shot. I mean, if you want to make a trade as well, we talked about, likes of Hendricks and Sonny Gray, but Marquez is an option that we haven't really talked about, and that's a guy that I wouldn't mind. Personally, my favorite to grab, I want to just pay the money, not have to give up any prospects. For me, it's going to be between Walker and Paxton.
Walker seems like the simplest, easiest solution. It always felt like that was the best option for us. So, I would probably, Walker. What am I saying? Walker.
Yeah, I'm with you on Walker. The other, you bring up a good point about Marquez. Of all of the pitchers that you trade for, I think Marquez might be the one you could get and give up the least, just because of the situation Colorado is in, and the Blue Jays could claim the argument that you haven't seen him pitch a full season outside of Coors Field, so we don't know what to trust with the splits. We just don't know. So they could try to, in the negotiation period.
I'm not even aware.
Right. Yeah. What split? I'm not doing a split right now. So Marquez, I think, is nice. We know what the market is for Castillo. They would want Bo Bichette back. I could see them being unrealistic for Sonny Gray. I have a feeling that the Cubs and Hendricks, I don't know, the closer we get, I feel like the Cubs are going to stick with what they have. I think Bryant might get traded during the season. If the Cubs are out of it, then you could see a Bryant deal. I'm starting to feel that way. And so Marquez kind of comes into the fold. If we're going to trade, Marquez isn't a bad piece. Or again, I like what you're saying about Taiwan Walker. I do think that he pitched his best baseball. His best 6-game stretch came with the Blue Jays. Why not run that back? Keep that going. Let's just see that again.
Right. Exactly. Right. And he has recovered from Tommy John. And we have got a little glimpse of what he could potentially do, especially when he got traded. He did even better. So I would definitely be excited. And I think please correct me if I'm wrong, 28 years old?
28 is the correct age.
He's perfect for our team makeup.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I would like it. What about this whole Marwin Gonzalez thing? Do you like that? Do you want them to get out of that business? What's your thoughts on recently? I guess he's been the most recently linked to the team. What do you think about the whole Marwin Gonzalez thing?
Yeah, I mean, my gut reaction, anyone's would be, is just, do we really need another position player kind of clogging up the ranks? So we already pushed Grichuk to the bench in some projected lineups. He's not even on the lineup, right? Yeah. So I get he's a good super utility kind of player, but let's stop distracting. Let's, like we said the other day, it's like the Blue Jays management kind of has a bit of ADHD, like just going around,
right?
Focus on
just as an amusing aside, because you brought up Grichuk, we posted a thing, Jim, on our Instagram today, and it was what would you trade for Randall Grichuk? There was a surprising amount of people who responded with we would accept a bag of tropical Skittles, some used catcher gear.
That could be useful. The Skittles.
Yeah, good deal.
I was actually thinking of making like a tier list, like doing a little bracket to see what would be the best inanimate object.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, like Randall Grichuk, like we don't know what to do with him now because he is being pushed out of that spot. So Marwin Gonzalez, like, I think I pass.
I agree.
Yeah. We did get a question in the chat. Should Alejandro Kirk make the team? That from Jaras. I'm sure you guys are with me on this. Totally. Like, it's got to be him and Jansen and those two platoon. And quite frankly, I think Kirk could take the position. I think Kirk could take the position from him by the end of the year.
Yeah, completely agree, bro. And we're in one of those situations right now where I'm not 1,000% willing to let either of those guys take the full starting reins right now. Mm-hmm. I think we're in the perfect spot for catcher because we have two guys, two relatively nice question marks to own, and I think at least one of them is for sure going to hit. Mm-hmm. And I want to have this season, a full season of them working together and being like, all right, you know what, Kirk, you are the guy. Jansen, I'm sorry, you had your chance. Or actually, wait, Jansen is showing a whole new level right now. Maybe Kirk can go. Yeah. And I think this is just a great opportunity for us. This is a good problem to have. Having two solid guys right now.
I think Jansen's potential, like when he first broke into the league, a lot of people were talking about his bat, but like I think we've grown to see his defensive abilities really being the reason he's sticking with the ladder, and a bit of leadership too. And Alejandro Kirk poses the threat. If Jansen doesn't perform better with the bat, then Alejandro Kirk might take over the role just simply because his offensive numbers.
Heck yeah.
I would love to see the competition push Jansen, get him to a new level. I think that would be fascinating. And then you could have two catchers that you can split time with. I mean, think about it. I think it was 2 years ago, Minnesota with Garver and Castro. I think Castro was the other catcher there. They both had fantastic seasons. They both pushed each other. And I would love to see Toronto end up in a situation where they have two catchers that they're just pushing each other and they're getting better offensively. I think they're both going to be fine defensively. It's who's going to be in that offense because the offense looks potent right now, and it would be great to keep it potent, 1 through 9, and then turn it over and do it again.
Yes.
I mean, you brought up that competitiveness. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe having Grichuk on the bench isn't a bad idea. He's been so used to being a starter. Why not, offer a little friendly team competitiveness to try and fight for those starting jobs?
Well, someone is going to be on the bench, whether it's Grichuk or Tellez. That's actually a question I was going to ask you, Jim, was out of those two, who would you rather have on the bench?
I would play the matchups, honestly. And I would give Grichuk the right-handed at-bats if he was hot. Otherwise, strictly Tellez, and do that. Have that situation go. And if Teoscar starts to struggle out there, like your point about the competition, if Teoscar's struggling out in right field, is not hitting, if he sort of reverts back into some of the slumps we've seen him go through, hopefully those are gone. But if they resurface, Grichuk can go back out there and right, and then it's Teoscar and Tellez. I mean, I think that is the nice thing about the situation right now is they will have sort of a 10th guy where you can slide somebody in who's hot, gets in there. If someone's struggling, you move them out, and that might, push guys to perform better. That's what
I totally agree with you, man, because I feel like right now a lot of this fan base and like a lot of the analysts are kind of looking at Teoscar as if he is a sure thing. Like he is like for sure going to be elite as he was last year. I think we all know, like, as being like deep divers into these stats, that isn't the case. So having somebody like Grichuk who has 30 home run upside just chilling there is a great opportunity,
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez last year, we loved him. 16 homers and a 289, 579 slugging. He's never done that before, right? It was 230. 230 the year before, 239 before that. The on base was just over 300. Like, We saw the best Teoscar Hernandez we've ever seen last year. And does that continue? Is he able to do that again? I am tempering my expectations. I think I'm hoping he's turned a corner, but I'm obviously not going to expect, every 50 games, he's got 16 homers in the bag.
Right. So we think his floor is definitely could be right back to where he was. Ceiling, exactly what he did last year. And, I do, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist and like, well, how did this happen? I really do believe that Dante Bichette played a big influence on the way he changed.
I think so.
I
don't think that's a conspiracy theory at all.
So what I'm proposing is, why don't we get this guy more involved? I heard that he was taking a step back. They weren't going to have him as involved with the players. So
they're moving him around. They're moving him around all different levels of the organization, which could be good for the young kids that are coming up to expose them to Bichette, because he definitely had an impact on Teoscar and on Randall. For sure. Yeah. Guys, why don't you tell everybody that is in the chat about what do you guys got coming up on your channel here in the next couple of days? I think I saw you posted something today. Tell the folks in the chat what they can expect from you guys.
Okay, quick Cole's notes, everyone. We are very shortly going to be starting a fantasy baseball segment. We're going to be breaking down everything fantasy baseball. You're going to see us every Saturday. We're going to be dropping a podcast, doing a mock draft. We're going to be trying to bring people on. Hey, Jim, you want to be on a mock draft?
Sure.
Sure. All right. There we go. There's number one, guys. So we're going to be bringing people on. We're going to be doing these mock drafts, breaking down analysis. And we also have a lot of stuff coming up for this upcoming season. Sunday weekly breakdowns. We're going to be doing a wine unwind. Cool. So a lot of stuff on the channel.
Yeah, we're going to be going live as well during Blue Jays game, giving our raw reactions right in front of the television. We always like to bring a bit of the fan, like the crazy fan, to like the show, but you're going to see the raw fan watching the TV. So you get a lot more experience on those live streams.
Right on. And so everybody, make sure you check out the Blue Jays Today YouTube page. Guys, before I let you go, because we are going to get Brian in here in just a minute, you guys collect baseball cards. It's a big night tonight. Tomorrow, the 2021 baseball card calendar sort of flips over. All right, you guys into baseball cards, collect baseball cards?
I'll be honest, Jim. We aren't currently. However, like when we started this podcast, we were kind of talking that we wanted to get into it, and what we want to do is we want to kind of build up a repertoire of them and like kind of put them in our set places and stuff. So maybe this would be a good time for us to get involved.
Definitely do. Well, thank you guys for coming on and joining. It has been a pleasure to talk with you. It was fun to come onto your channel. So look forward to future collaborations between the two of us, everybody that is watching. Thank you guys again, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So that was Nick and Adam from Blue Jays Today on YouTube. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears because we talked about it. This is a big night. Topps did their RIP party earlier today. I don't know if anybody caught some of that, but it is a big day with the 2021 series releasing tomorrow. And I wanted to give you guys some, sort of a behind the scenes on the baseball card process, the photos, and just kind of talk about it for a minute. So I want to bring in, and we're going to dive into this. I want to bring in Brian. Let me make my background the right one. All right. Going to bring in Brian Rothmuller. He is on Instagram at Sports Card Photographer. You can also find him on Twitter at the same handle, I do believe. Let's bring Brian in. Brian, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. You have a box of 2021.
I do. I'm covered behind a box of cards. I'm trying to peek out from behind it. Thank you for joining. We have exchanged messages over Instagram over the past, I don't know, everything's a blur with this whole COVID thing, but I'd say for the past year we met there. I love the work. You have sent me some of your work, and I wanted to just have a conversation about baseball cards with you. So is it cool if we do that for a few minutes?
Yeah, sounds great. So
you take photos for, I guess, bring me up to speed. Is it just Topps? Is it Topps and Panini and all those guys? Who are you freelancer for everybody? What's the situation look like?
So I work for a wire service, and basically all my photos that I take, whether it's NBA, college, MLB, NFL, they all go up on a wire, and that's where the card companies grab them from. So I don't work directly with the companies. In the 80s and 90s, they used to have their own photographers and pay them like, a decent amount of salary. But the times that they are today, they don't have capacity to do that. So
Right.
So they grab all the photos from the wire, and once I take a photo, it goes up on a wire, and then they can look and see which photos they want to grab of certain players, and
cool.
That's sort of how it works. Once it's on the wire, it's sort of out of my hands. I just find out it's on a card when the card gets released.
Yeah. Now, how did you get started doing this? Is this something that you've done? You've always been in photography, went to college for? How did you get started?
I actually worked in advertising for a long time, and then just sort of transitioned into photography, and it's just kind of started more as a hobby, and then now it's sort of full-fledged as a full-time job. So I've been doing it probably since 2016, so full-time. Okay. So yeah.
And you sent me some. We'll pull some up for some of the viewers to check out here. Some of your favorite designs that you have taken a photo for that has been turned into a baseball card. You got me right there with that first one, Bo Bichette. I'm a Jays fan. I've got a lot of Jays fans that follow the channel. Not exclusively a Jays channel, but just being a Jays fan. We're going to talk about it. You got Bo Bichette. A couple of nice Mike Trout cards. What is your, and while we'll talk, I'll pull up a few more. What's your favorite? What do you think is your favorite card? I love this next one that I'm going to pull up. This Fernando Tatis 101 is just amazing. It's probably hard to choose, but what's your favorite?
It's so hard to choose. Yeah. I mean, like each one sort of has a special meaning for me. I think the card that I liked the most for a really long time was the one on the previous screen that was the Stadium Club card of Mike Trout. It was a short print included in the set, and just sort of a different photo than you normally find on cards. So he actually hit an opposite field home run in the ninth inning to tie the game, and that's him sort of looking and watching the ball, which normally he's sort of more of a pull hitter. It goes down the line, so. Right. I just really like that photo. So that's one of my favorite ones.
And here we've got some from the new the new release that's coming up. That I think that the 70th Topps is celebrating their 70th anniversary. So we've got a Bellinger throwback. We've got a Lux Future Stars. We've got a Padres team photo there. How many cards did you get, or do you? Maybe I don't even know. You maybe not even know. How many cards do you have in this 2021 set?
I don't know yet. I've seen probably about 10 or 15 so far, just online that have popped up. Normally I shoot the Angels and Dodgers. I live in Southern California, so that gives me access to both National League and American League teams. But with COVID last year, I mainly shot the Dodgers, and they were only playing teams from the West Coast. So definitely a little different this year than normal years. I think last year, Series 1, I had like 25 to 30 cards in it, including inserts and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the cards this year are definitely going to be different. The pictures, as you can see, are a little different than what we're used to seeing. The Bellinger has, you can see the fence that we had to shoot through, which is just weird. I don't know really why Topps chose that picture, but we're much further away. At least the Dodgers, each stadium was different last year. So Dodger Stadium, we were really far away. Yeah. So you're not going to get those close-up shots like that we saw the Trout or even the Tatis. I mean, to get that angle, we're beyond where the stands were. So. So they're going to be different. And, I've seen quite a few of the cards so far, and they're mostly from last year. You can tell if they're from last year, if they have the Nike swoosh on the uniform or not. So I was wondering if they were going to grab some more pictures from previous years, but They've pretty much taken stuff from last year. I've seen a lot of spring training pictures that are looking more like the normal pictures you see on cards, because that was sort of pre-COVID. But I mean, they sort of did the best they could given what they had available. And so hopefully next year or this coming year we'll get a little closer and things will look a little more like everyone's used to. So
yeah, I remember watching the Topps Now photos come out and keeping an eye on the Blue Jays cards, and they it must have been because they were at Salem Field. A lot of the pictures seemed like they were up at the press box behind home plate. So you had these like Bo Bichette and Travis Shaw. I can remember the photos are just their backs. They're swinging, and it's definitely a press box photo. So
it's a weird angle too. Like, I mean, you look at the Bo Bichette card right there, like, sort of eye level with his eyes, sort of on the same plane. But, when you're up super high, it's just a different angle, and it's an angle that people aren't used to seeing. The Trout picture, the third one here, the Dodgers, I would say until last year, you would shoot, basically the photo area was in the visitor and home dugout. So we were right in the dugout. So, he's probably, super, super close to where I am taking that picture. And that picture just didn't exist last year. So,
it's fascinating. That's actually a great, I didn't even think about that with the angles that you guys have as photographers were restricted last year. Let me ask you this about just in general, how do you feel about, the baseball card industry at the moment? I feel like it's going through a boom with people being home and sort of firing up some of those home-based hobbies, because now, I got my money and I used to go on vacations and I can't go on vacations anymore. So let me open up my baseball card boxes from when I was younger. And you know what? This is cool. Let me see what's out there now. And then, I think the Topps project for 2020 probably helped spur some of that. What do you think about the baseball card industry as a whole right now?
I mean, it's been crazy the last year. I mean, you think prices are going to settle down and demand's going to go a little calmer, and then it just ramps back up. So, I mean, it's when I was a kid and I was collecting, I always said, I'm going to save all these cards and buy a house with them. And, 10 years ago, it was just sort of a laughter thing because they weren't worth anything. And now even those cards are going crazy. So, so I might be able to buy a house with them after all.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I've noticed, I feel like it's an exciting time right now, because even if I feel like Topps is putting out so many products every year, every month, there's another product. It's Heritage, it's Gypsy Queen, it's Inception, it's, they've got the Bowman line. There's so many different products that they're coming out that I start to worry that we might be just sort of going through it all over again. It's just, this is Topps this time. It's not Topps plus Score and Donruss and Fleer and Leaf and all those companies and Upper Deck. But they're doing so many different things now with the autographs and the relics and the short prints, the one of ones, the things like that to me, I think with the rookie cards, a couple years ago was a great year with rookies, right? With Acuna and Soto and Ohtani and Torres were all in the same year. And this past year, I think we got a lot of good rookie cards in 20 with Bo Bichette and Luis Robert and Gavin Lux and AJ Puck and so forth and so on. And we're going to have another round of that this year, right? Because Topps Update couldn't have any of the rookie cards. So there's just so much life that's infused in the baseball card market, even though there's a lot of it, right? Topps has 20 different products that they're putting out with the autographs, with the rookie cards, with the short prints. I feel like there's something good going on there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that there are so many different products, you have people who really like Gypsy Queen, and it's not my thing, but they don't need to rely on everybody who is a collector to buy those specific brands. They have a big enough pool of collectors that they can they can choose what they like. So, I
Yep.
mean, you know, with Series 1, it's sort of everyone sort of likes the flagship series. But
Yeah.
with all the other ones, they're so different and unique, and they have, you know, different clienteles that like them. So,
do you have a favorite of everything that tops all those different brands? Again,
I like the Dynasty cards because they just look beautiful, and they really make the pictures really nice and make them sort of a focal point. I really liked Inception last year. Anything that just brings the photo to life, you know, I really like. So I love when they bring back the older designs too, because it brings back so many memories as a kid collecting. And, you know, I never thought I'd have a picture on a 1986 Topps card that now is in 2021. So so those have special meaning to me too. So those are cool.
Just taking a look real quick. These are the designs for the 2021 Series 1. Fernando Tatista's card number 1. You've got the throwback to the 86, which is when I started collecting. That's the 86 cards were the first cards that I really got into. And so it's cool to see those come back, like you just said. And again, you got the Kebron Hayes rookie card. You got Joe Adell's rookie card. This is a list of all of the rookie cards. It's absolutely insane. All of the rookie cards. It's just, I don't even know where. I don't know how many boxes or how much money I'm going to put into this, but it's going to be, you know, I'm excited for it. If you could, Brian, can you tell people where they can find your stuff? Because I know you got the Instagram thing going. Can you tell the viewers where they can find you outside of here now?
Yeah, of course. So normally every week I post about 2 stories on my Instagram, which is Sports Card Photographer. And what I do is I show the card and then the picture that I took that's on the card, and then you know, have a couple paragraphs about how the picture came to be and what I was thinking and sort of the settings on my camera. So there's a little bit for everyone. You know, if they like seeing the cards, great. If they want to hear more about the story, and you know, I've written some stories about people and backgrounds of cards that were bothering me in the picture, and I couldn't do anything about it. So just sort of a unique way of learning more about the cards. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really tweet that much. So just basically on Instagram at Sports Card Photographer.
Perfect. Everybody, make sure you check that out. Again, some good stuff coming up. Brian, thank you for spending your Tuesday evening, a chunk of your Tuesday evening with me here on BALLCAP Sports. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we are having a good night tonight. I hope you guys are enjoying what we're doing. We had the guys from Blue Jays Today. We had Brian, and now we're going to get into guest number 3. We are going to bring in Wardy. We are going to bring in Tyler from Wardy NYM. Welcome in, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know what to make of your little skit earlier. That was something else. I just watched that a minute ago. I feel quite confused about it too. You might as well throw me one of those Bauer pills.
I need you to. We were messaging back and forth off, you know, on Twitter, and I need to know right from the Mets' mouth, if you will. I don't understand the VR situation. I got the Almora thing because it's the righty bat, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, it's the righty bat, but he's not a good hitter. So I don't like if they're putting out the best guy for the offense, Almora, it just feels like Almora is a late inning substitution. And then VR, I don't understand the VR situation, because that means that I guess JD Davis is going to sit. You're not going to sit Lindor. I guess maybe you move McNeil to left, but then what do you do with Dom Smith? I just don't understand it. I get the depth, but I'm going to pass to you. I need you to sort of bring me in and help me understand the whole thing. Why these are the moves after the Bauer situation? Is it just too much money? They don't know what to do with it, or do you think there's a plan?
Oh, absolutely plan. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking too deep into these moves. Both Almora Jr. and VR, respectively, are strictly off the bench moves. VR is not going to be starting for you. That's why he was such a good pickup for them, because he's not, he's a guy that, as you know, being a Blue Jays fan, I know he didn't do too well in Toronto during his short time there, say the least, but he's a guy that still can steal bags. He stole 40 in 2019, 16 was second all the MLB in 2020. He doesn't have a great bat, but you're not looking for the bat with him. Is just a year removed from having over 24 home runs in 2019. Yeah. But, he's played short, he plays second, he plays third, and he plays center field. The Mets want an ultra utility man. They were looking at Kike Hernandez first. He ended up going to the Red Sox. They showed interest in Marwin Gonzalez as well, but they probably know that route is very deep and would be more costly than a guy of VR. So VR is their ultra utility man and will be strictly off the bench. He's not a guy you should be expecting the Mets to be starting anytime soon. And Albert Almora Jr., same situation, another depth guy to have later in the innings, especially when you want to be more defensive heavy, a guy that has struggled with his bat, but his best numbers his first couple years in his career were with Chili Davis, who is, in fact, one of the coaches for the New York Mets, their batting coach. So they're probably hoping on rekindling that relationship. I don't know if you're aware, but the whole type of trend with Almora Jr. trending downward, unfortunately, over the past couple of years has been after that foul ball. Yep. So it seems like just in general, he needed a change of scenery to kind of take his mindset away from that as it is. And I fully expect that to be the case. Two very low risk, high reward situations, strictly depth moves. They're not blockbusters. They're not Trevor Bauer, nor are they supposed to be. These are the kind of depth moves that all of us Mets fans have been hoping for this offseason to really round out this bench.
I'm a fan of VR. I did my video the other day with a quick little hot stove update because the Reds were talking to VR, and then the Reds went and signed D. Strange Gordon, which he hyphenated his name. So anyway, I loved VR to fit into that red shortstop position. I thought that would have been fantastic. That VR in 2019 with the Orioles played 162 games, 24 home runs, and 40 steals. When he's comfortable, when he's on, when he's getting full playing time, he can push 20 homers and he can push 40 steals. And I'm just surprised for his sake almost. Maybe the Mets almost get a steal here. If somebody gets hurt, they have a very capable guy to fill in the infield or the outfield. He can pinch run. He can come in late if he's got a pinch hit. I think that he'll be a very good pinch hitter. I'm almost surprised from a Jonathan VR. Maybe he's chasing a ring. I don't know.
I think he's not too.
He's not that late. I mean, this is going to be his age 30 season. He's got a few more years in the tank. But I would have liked to have seen him go somewhere where he's going to play full time, all the time, full reps, and he's going to definitely be off the bench, utility guy. Maybe he gets into a situation where he can play more if somebody gets hurt or somebody's not performing well.
For sure.
Anyway, the VR and Almora thing, I thought that was from a Mets perspective, it almost seemed like it was so quick after the Bauer thing. It was like a distraction. It's like, yeah, okay, we got that, but look, we're boom, boom, real quick. We got these two for you. So that's where my Bauer all bit came from.
Yeah, no, that's hysterical. I'm gonna probably post on Twitter tonight or tomorrow. That was so funny.
I got to do some editing at the beginning of this thing because I was having all sorts of audio problems. So this didn't really get going till like the 4-minute mark. So I'm gonna have to chop out that intro because it was me struggling with the audio. But go ahead. What you were saying?
It happens to all of us. Again. I've always been under the understanding that the Mets are playing a really adept to this lineup because VR, it seems to me at least, and that's a great point. He would be a starter for a more non-contending team, but look at what he's done in his career, especially during his time in Baltimore. Yes, he had some good runs, but it's been few and far between. It's been a while now since he's had any extended type of playoff berth. So I think at this point in his career, knowing that he is more in the latter half of his career, the bat isn't what it once was, even though that I wouldn't put too much stock into 2020. There's still upside there to be effective, at least an average hitter. Being a utility guy, I think is going to bode well. I think the Mets are really going to rally around him a lot too, because he's going to be in an increased role, even if it's more so off the bench. It's just knowing that they can kind of bank on him in numerous situations is going to do well for them. I think the Mets probably did a great selling job in bringing him in. knowing it's a $3.55 million 1-year deal with incentives as well. I'm not sure exactly what those incentives are, but yeah, no, I'm very happy about that. I think when you get a guy Villar that on plenty of teams, a good at least dozen teams in the MLB would probably be starting. That's a good steal to have when you're going to have him off your bench.
Yeah. What do you think about, and maybe the VR thing kind of, I mean, I haven't checked back into it lately within the last few hours, but the Mets had been sort of linked to still Jackie Bradley Jr. and Justin Turner. What are your thoughts on those two potentially still being in the mix?
Sounds like a trade's coming. That's what it sounds like to me. I would prefer if the Mets, if they're going to address third base, to do it through a trade option, just because when you look at the Mets through an industry source through Mets Mirage a couple weeks ago, have shown interest in Sonny Gray and Eugenio Suarez, which I think would be another great package deal to really take them to another level over the Braves to an extent, to really solidify that. Either that or Brian and Hendricks, that we know Toronto's been connected with in the past, really up until you guys signed Semien. So with that still being a possibility, one of those, I think that would be the best route for them. I think they're weighing all their options again. I think JBJ would have made a lot more sense should the DH be in place, but no, we only have it in double headers because that makes sense. Thank you, Manfred. I think that the best option for them, however, is probably to, in fact, do a trade package. And the writing's on the wall. I love JD Davis, but the Mets do not seem sold on him given his defensive game. And for a team that's trying to prioritize winning right now, they can't have a third baseman that was on pace to be by far the worst defensive third baseman in all baseball last season. I think they're really, really not satisfied with that. They took him to arbitration on just around $300K this offseason. If that isn't telling them maybe they're not being a great connection there right now with this new regime, I don't know what is. So I think Turner on a short-term option, 2 years, if they can get it done, that'd be great. Even at 36, you're still getting a far above average third baseman at this point in his career. That would help them tremendously. I think Turner's going to go in the NL East if he's not with the Mets. So I think it's going to be the Braves or the Nationals possibly too. I've had some other people ask me that. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So I would be much in favor of a trade package. I hope it happens. And if they land JBJ, then what are you going to do in left field? It's going to be Dom Smith or Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo's a better outfielder. I love Nimmo, but Dom Smith has the more potential to really take advantage of his bat going forward. So I could see one of those two being part of a bigger deal along with Davis, which could land you another type of Lindor Carrasco situation, whether it's a Brian and Hendricks or more control and Suarez and Gray, just as hypotheticals here.
Yeah, the Turner, I think Turner's years are a big factor here.
For sure.
He has said he wanted 4. I don't know if anybody, no one's going to give him 4. I've maintained that is just a negotiation ploy. Like if he really wants 2, you don't start with 2 or 3. You start at 4.
High, in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a feeling that is a negotiation tactic. There was talk that the Dodgers, it was close that there would be a reunion, but that was weeks ago. That was before the Dodgers really got into the Bauer sweepstakes. So I wonder if some of that money that they were holding for Turner went to Bauer. A lot of people are arguing, well, they're already over the luxury tax, so why not just spend the money? They've already paid the penalty. Well, the problem is the penalty gets bigger. They get taxed on the overage. So, right now they're, let's say they're, I don't know what the number is, but let's say they're 10 million over. Well, if they go get Justin Turner and they go to 25 million over, that they pay out more. So that's why. And the Dodgers have a situation where with Lux and with Rios, this is a perfect time to try to just bring those kids up because there won't be a lot on their shoulders. They'll hit at the bottom of the lineup. They'll get their feet wet, and you give them time to develop because they can move Max Muncy over to third. So I think Justin Turner in LA, I think that's done. I think that it turns into a Brewers potential because the Brewers want to still compete in that Central, right? They see the Cardinals making moves. I think the Nats are done. I don't think the Nats are going to – I think the Nats have made their moves with Schwarber and Bell. And Lester. So I think the Nats are done, and it's the Brewers. I don't know if the Braves will do it because they just brought Ozuna back. If Ozuna went somewhere else, like all these pieces, right? All these things happen, and I think it shrinks Justin Turner's options down to Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee got Colton Wong, but I don't think that's enough to prevent them from going for Justin Turner. Ozuna to the Braves, I think that can rule out Justin Turner because Braves fans, I don't think really like Austin Riley. I might be understating that, but you got to see what you got in a full season with him, right? You got to give him one shot and you give it a go. And again, the Dodgers, I think, are over. They're not going to spend the money. The Mets, maybe, so maybe the Mets become a secret, not a secret team, but like a mystery team, or I guess it wouldn't be a mystery at this point. But last minute, the Mets could sneak in there. But I would say Brewers for Justin Turner. It just seems to be going in that direction. Or maybe he pulls a savvy veteran move and he just signs with the Dodgers for 1 year, $1 million, and he just goes for another ring. But that'll be interesting. What do you out of those potential trade moves and moves that are hanging out there, from a Mets perspective, what do you want to happen next?
Basically what I said already. I think this is a time to do one more big splash and then really cap off the offseason and really have arguably the best one they've had in their history. If you're able to land another big piece in third base and the rotation, which is something you don't need to do in regards to rotation, especially with Thor coming back, assuming in May or June. You want a placeholder at least, but that's a good problem to have. The Mets have to worry about possibly pushing David Peterson to the bullpen by the time Thor comes around. I'm not against that, at least in the short term. So if they can do one of those Reds or Cubs possible proposed deals, I'm all for it. I think that really takes them over the top. So that's what I'm hoping happens next. Is that as realistic? Maybe not. Free agency wise, I know I've talked about plenty of guy that you like as well, Taiwan Walker, one of him or Odorizzi. Those are really guys that stand out. I know a lot of Mets fans like James Paxton. I think he would be a good fit in Toronto as well. I'm not as high on Paxton as everyone else is, but I get it. It's a low risk, high reward when you're probably buying low on a guy that if he can get his velocity, maybe pick it up a little bit from what we originally saw this offseason. When he's on, Paxton is still very much a dominant pitcher in baseball. I just have my natural concerns with him given his injuries as of late.
Yeah, he's a question mark.
Yeah, he is. But again, still has plenty upside when healthy, is another strong southpaw. So if they go the free agency route, sign me up for one of those three and Turner. And I think you have capped off your offseason for the most part, outside of maybe adding another bullpen piece. Trevor Rosenthal would be ideal, but not necessarily likely. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. But I also want to know your thoughts on basically Toronto, what you think is next for them in general, because I know that maybe no more big moves are going to happen. But do you think that Walker has a strong likelihood of landing back in Toronto? I saw he's been taking some at-bats, which might be telling that he's going to be going to the NL. So
he's looking at
on all that.
I saw that too. I saw his batting practice tweet that he put out there. Whether they go with the super utility guy, like they've been talking about Marwin Gonzalez, or they go and get a Paxton or a Walker, I think whatever order it is, I think those are the next two moves. I'm at the point now where I don't think they're going to go get Odorizzi. I think that there's a potential that Odorizzi might be asking for too much money and the Blue Jays will move on. I don't see a trade happening. I'm just being, maybe I'm being a little pessimistic about it. I just feel like I know what they need to do. They need to go get another ace if they want to take a serious shot at this thing, because now you know what your World Series competition is most likely going to be. It's the Dodgers. So you got to think, okay, how do we stack up against the Dodgers? And they don't stack up very well right now. Like they could make let's say it's James Paxton, right? So you throw Paxton into that rotation, or Walker, whatever. You are in a situation where you'll be pushing for the American League East, and then after that, maybe you win you're not going to be a serious World Series contender with the current team that they've got there. Yeah, they need to. Now there's always trades during the season, and I think that could be a real possibility that the Blue Jays get a team together to start the season, and then they get really aggressive at the trading deadline, because I think the Reds are probably asking for too much at this point. And the more I think about it, I just see the Cubs, the Jock Peterson signing. I think the Cubs are going to roll with what they've got. I can see the Cubs just holding on to everything, because Kyle Hendricks is still locked in for another 3 years or so. So
yes,
he's
prime time to get the most out of him in regards to trade, at least.
So I just see that the Cubs probably want too much, and I think the Reds want too much because, again, the Suarez and the Gray, those guys are on very, very favorable contracts.
Yes, they
in
are.
terms of dollars and length. So I have a feeling that those trades, I mean, I'm going to think about it some more, but I just feel like those trades might not happen until we get into the season when, Chris, the Cubs are 20 games under 500, and now they're like, okay, we'll get rid of Chris Bryant at this point. This is pointless. And the Reds, if the Reds tank and they're like, okay, we're going to get rid of Sonny Gray at this point. Unfortunately, I think that's the way those are going to go. So Blue Jays moves are probably going to be generally kind of calm the rest of the way. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. Robbie Hyde, welcome in. How are you? I hope you had a great stream tonight. I'm sure you were streaming. Robbie Hyde streaming all the time. Robbie
What's up, Robbie?
Killing it. Robbie, welcome in. Thanks for hopping in for a minute here. So yeah, we're talking Mets, we're talking Jays. Everybody that's in the chat, here's what I need you guys to do. We got to hit that like button. I need you guys to hit that like, get us to 100 likes. We need to blow past 100 likes. I think last I checked, we were somewhere around like 60. We got 136 people hanging out in here. So if a handful of you hit that like, that'll boost us up there. Let's blow by that 100 number. If you're hanging out in the chat, you enjoy the conversation. If baseball is life to you, hit that number. I think we need like 20 more likes.
Hit that like button, maybe.
We could do this. Let's go. Let's make let's get a like run going. Make sure you hit that like. Exactly. Rick Smith, hit that like if you're a fan of rum. Hit that like if you're a fan of the Mets or the Blue Jays. We need you now. And if you're just finding the channel for the very first time tonight, I welcome you and I encourage you to subscribe. Join BALLCAP Nation. Join the community that we're building here. You don't just get me. Tonight we had the Blue Jays Today guys. We had Brian Rothmuller who takes pictures for baseball cards, and we have Tyler here. So you get a lot more than just me on the channel. So thank you guys for being here and checking it out. And again, subscribe if you haven't yet. And are we over 100? Did we get there? We're close. We're close, guys. I'll put out another reminder in a minute or two.
I want to say something. I just clicked on the chat quick. I saw someone ask a question for me, so
go ahead.
My answer.
For sure.
So Katie asks for me to answer if I fear getting Sonny Gray because of his previous struggles in New York. I've said this more times, and I can begin to count at this point in regards to this type of deal for the Mets. I'm not whatsoever. If you look at what Gray has done during his time throughout his career and how he landed the Bronx, numerous factors went into his poor play in the Bronx. There's a reason why his home and away splits were polar opposites. There's a reason why when you look at his utilization, he complained that he felt that he was misutilized during his time with the Yanks, that his slider was overused. A lot of factors went into it, having a short porch in the Bronx, as we know. Obviously, a natural media pressure, I'm sure, can go into to an extent. Being Sonny Gray, going from the Oakland A's, being one of the smaller market teams to then the Bronx. It's not an easy adjustment, but I think that Gray, I would not put much stock in how he performed in the Bronx versus how he performed in Queens. I think that's really just a scapegoat to really, at this point, have some type of gripe against the Mets possibly landing him in a deal like that. So I would much prefer Luis Castillo between the two, but he's going to take an arm and a leg right now, and I'm not sure how likely that would be for the Mets side of things.
I'm with you 100% on that Sonny Gray take. I think that I actually think that he would be motivated to pitch very well. That's one of the reasons why I'd love Toronto to get him, because I'd love him to face the Yankees and stick it to them. I think with the Mets, he would want to prove to New York that that's not who I was. The system, the Yankee system, it didn't fit. David Knight, thank you for the super chat, my friend.
Shout out to David.
Would be a good pickup. His style did not fit well in New York. Exactly. That was the key. That was the key. He would be a great pickup for the Mets. He'd be a great pickup for Toronto. David, thank you for that super chat. I think that Sonny Gray, the Sonny Gray we see now, the Sonny Gray we saw in Oakland, that's who he is. The guy he was with the Yankees, that's not it. That's not who he is. Robbie, with the question, sign Turner and Davis and whatever else to the Reds for Gray. It's got to be J.D. Davis, and then it'd have to be a prospect. Don't you think? Don't you think, Tyler? You probably have to dip into that prospect pool.
If it was just Gray, I wouldn't see this as likely personally. I think it would have to be a Gray and Suarez situation. I'm not under the belief. I could be wrong, but I don't see why the Mets would just go after Gray. But if they did, then in that situation, yeah, you're probably looking at for Gray. Honestly, the Mets could really do a lot of parting ways, mainly with a top 5 prospect, because there's one guy that stands out, and that is Ronnie Mauricio. And I know that might not seem like the most ideal fit because you don't want to give up the farm, especially for Gray. It's not like you're having for a long time, you're having for a good time, right? But Mauricio is currently blocked by Lindor, and with the expectation of the Mets extending him probably for the next decade, what are the Mets going to do with him? The answer is nothing other than being a bench role. So that's why I think that in that type of deal or something bigger, let's take a Suarez, for instance, just as a hypothetical, then you're looking at JD Davis right away for third base for to fill in there. You're looking at Brandon Nimmo possibly, and then you might have to toy with the idea there of Mauricio to an extent. Maybe not Nimmo, but Mauricio would make a lot of sense because the Reds, as we know, need shortstop depth, and he would definitely fill that void sooner rather than later. So those guys stand out right away to me. But JD, first and foremost, I'm a big fan of JD's, as I am Nimmo, but it's been beyond telling right now with how this offseason is going that, Alderson, Zach Scott, they're not overly, positive about the idea of having the current team setting up for day one of the 2021 season, given a lot of their defensive woes still.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Just looking over some of the most recent news, looks like Ryan Braun is not interested in playing. One of the things we were going to talk about, and we can talk about it with Tyler here, is some of the free agent news, free agent updates. We got Ryan Braun saying that he's not interested in playing. Okay, he's 37 years old. Yeah, it's like, done. I made my money. You guys hate me because of the PED allegations. Looks like Ryan Braun doesn't want to play. You have any thoughts on that?
No, it was fun while it lasted.
It was.
Wishing him well, Noah well. Things happen. No one's perfect. Obviously, the PED thing wasn't great. He still put up good numbers without it at times. Braun, all I could think of him is as a Brewer. It would be really weird to see him. And to be honest, at this point in his career, why even do it? Most players at this stage in his career, if you're going to go somewhere else, you're going to do it because one, you have, trying to go to a World Series contender, but even then, how much of an impact are you really going to have? He'd be a strict depth role, borderline MLB player at this point in his career. If he hangs it up, then good for him. Wishing him well in his retirement. That's my point on it.
Marlins made a move today.
Adam Duvall.
Yeah, I've been saying the Marlins are going to be the best last place team in baseball, and signing Adam Duvall adds to that. Adam Duvall was good last year. He can hit, and he signs with the Marlins for a 1-year deal. It's going to be tough. I mean, Toronto, at least we get a breather every time we face the Orioles, right? Like they'll be feisty, but they're not going to really give us a run. The Marlins are going to be feisty this year, and now they bring in Duvall. What do you have any thoughts on that?
Just another guy in the outfield with some pop. You can't go wrong there. I think when you look at the Marlins now, it makes you wonder how much better they would be if they were in the NL Central. Put things in that perspective. Like, I think if that was the case, then they're borderline. They can make a shot to be the second or third best team in that division, which just shows you how different things are. Marlins are going to be pesky. They're going to be a pain in my side. That's how I feel about basically. The Braves are beyond a pain in my side. They're a team that I'm always going to be worried about. The Nationals are a team that's going to be a pain in my side. The Phillies and the Marlins, all those kind of same things. Marlins are just like, I don't know. They're just one of those teams where, especially when you look at Mets history, at least coming from a Mets fan, they have had their number in a lot of different ways. And especially in seasons where the Mets had big aspirations and either things really plummeted or, they just were really trying to go all in and couldn't get it done. So, Marlins, I don't wish them success, but I do wish success for the fan base, if that makes sense, because I know how bad that they've had it for a while now.
Yeah, I think there's some fun baseball ahead in Miami. I'm a big Sixto Sanchez fan. I think Jazz.
God.
He's
what
great.
A trade. Oh, so good. So good.
Sixto's great. I think Jazz is going to be awesome. I think there's just Brian Anderson, the leadership, the veteran over there at third base. There's some good stuff coming for the Marlins. KD, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the content.
Shout out to
Wardy,
KD.
Wardy, what are your honest opinions on Steve Matz? Does he have any bounce back potential for the Blue Jays?
Yes, he does. It's really going to come down, in my mind, a lot analytically and in the change of scenery. Because one, Matz has the stuff. The control's been the issue. His injuries have been a heavy factor in things throughout his career. But I think his mentality, too. He's a guy that's been a diehard Mets fan his entire life, playing with his favorite team in the New York Mets. A lot of high expectations. I can only imagine how much weight that put on his shoulders, especially when he's dealt with numerous injuries between Tommy John and others throughout his fairly young career. So Matz has been electric at times, but it's been a little bit few and far in between. If you can get him in a change of scenery now, like Toronto, where it's not even like he's going to be thinking about Long Island much at all for a while. He's going to just focus strictly on Toronto and being in the AL in a completely different division. I think it's going to bode him well. If the Jays can focus a decent amount analytically with him too, and really just put him in a right headspace, I think that's going to do him well. I think if there's a right spot for him to really find more success, it's a team like the Jays, up and coming, a lot of exciting young players, and just a new it's fresh. I think it's definitely a breath of fresh air with that type of organization right now. And he does have some familiarity. He does know some guys there. I don't know how close he is, but Anthony Kay is a guy that stands out to me. Anthony Kay from the trade with the Mets and the Jays not all that long ago. Another solid guy originally from the Mets prospect pool, which I was not happy to see go. I know he's part of the Stroman deal, originally from Long Island as well. So I'm not sure exactly how deep of a relationship they have, if any, but there are some familiar faces there, at least in Toronto, that I think will help his adjustment.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Good take there. Let me ask you, and Kyle, thank you for the super chat as well. Yes, we are very grateful to have Wardy NYM Tyler in here to talk about some baseball.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. You're the best.
Let me ask you this. Not really a Mets-related question, but just I don't. The guy can play. Why is Yasiel Puig just getting no love right now? Is it because he's a head case? I mean,
for sure. People don't.
But they don't like it. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things. I mean, he is what he's done on a 1-year deal. Maybe he wants multiple years. I mean, I'm looking at, from a talent perspective, Yasiel Puig is one of the best bats that are out there now. Just looking at the free agents that are still available. Again, just player wise, I think Puig is towards the top of this list. I'm looking at all the free agents. JBJ can play and hit as well as field. Who else we got? We got Brett Gardner. Brett Gardner doesn't have much left these days. Justin Turner. So do you think Puig is going to get anything before spring training, or is he going to have to wait until spring training starts for a spot to open up? I don't know. What do you think about Puig?
I think the Puig market will open up, and I honestly think to an extent Rachel Luba is going to factor into that. As much as I'm upset about the Mets losing out on Bauer and everything, they've done a really smart and strategic job in marketing their players. And I think Puig, between the little documentaries that they've done and really just her having a different voice for him, is going to bode him well. And, Puig is a guy that defensively, I'm not sure where he would be up to par nowadays. But, prime Puig was definitely stellar at times defensively. It's just been about his consistency and what is bad as well at times. But his personality, people are just scared of it at the end of the day. He's not a guy that I think is really much of a quote-unquote head case, if you will. He's a guy that is emotional, is a lot. Really, Puig is what we're seeing to an extent with Tatis and these other young guys now. Yeah. These guys that have that flair of their game, that don't mind showboating, basically. A Tim Anderson, if you will. But Puig kind of started all. He's the one that kind of he came to the MLB a little too soon. If he was part of this new regime now with what we're seeing with these young studs, we wouldn't be seeing this one bit, because his play would be making up for it. And because of how he's been labeled as this complete head case throughout his young career thus far, it's also had a certain effect on his play. He's probably questioned himself at certain times, I'm sure, too, as a player. And between bouncing around and not having certainty with the team, like, who knows how much he would have done with the Braves. I think the Braves would have been an amazing fit for him going into last season. Look at that young clubhouse. Look at what Ozuna is doing. Look at what everyone is doing. Like, that would be a perfect fit. Not that I would want to see it as a Mets fan, but by God, like, if you're looking at a fun, young, up-and-coming club with those type of players as well that have a lot of same personalities, Puig checks off all the boxes. So I think for his sake, if there's one team that stands out to me that maybe could put him in a DH role or try to figure out something possible if they can afford it, is the White Sox. The White Sox are a team that if they can, they should definitely go after Puig. Makes sense and more reasons than one for me. So I hope for their sake that they're showing consideration.
Yeah, the White Sox could use a DH. They replaced Mazzara with Eaton, but Eaton's got injury issues over the last couple of years. The White Sox are a potential fit. The Astros are a potential fit with Springer being gone and Reddick not being signed, and the injury problem with I always forget Yordan Alvarez. So Alvarez is going to have to be the DH. So you need to replace the outfield. So Houston, I think, could be a fit, and he'd have a chance to win in Houston, right? He'd have a chance to win with the White Sox. The A's could maybe use an outfielder. Let's see, the Braves. The Braves could figure back in the mix if they can get him for cheap for 1 year. I mean, they could. I'd hate to see him do it, but they could kick the can on, Pache and Waiters another year, because you put Puig in the right field, you have Ozuna in left, and you have
is Pache one of their is he one of their top prospects?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with the Braves farm.
He made his debut last year. Was okay. Actually, was playing during the postseason, but if there was going to be a DH in the National League, Puig is another guy that would get some more run, because the Braves could stick Ozuna at DH, and then they'd have an extra outfield position for Puig. The Phillies could also maybe wind up in the mix for Puig, and I think that just the management situation there it could backfire, but I also think there's a chance that it could maybe do him some good. So there are some teams that make sense for Puig, and I do think eventually he's gonna land somewhere, and he's probably going to be a steal for somebody. And
what about the Red Sox?
He will be on his best behavior. The Red Sox, right, with Jackie Bradley Jr. out of the picks. The Red Sox have
Renfroe.
Red Sox have Martinez, Renfroe. Who else did they have? I was talking about the Red Sox the other day, and I'm trying to remember their depth chart. I feel like they had a situation after that Renfroe deal where the outfield was starting to get kind of busy. Let me pull it back up.
Oh, I just see a comment here in your chat. Oh, he would have, granted, it wouldn't be like the most ideal fit in regards to like just maybe the type of personalities, but if Tampa Bay could take him on a 1-year deal, we're talking about a reclamation project. There's no better team to go to than the Rays.
They were just talking about Ozuna. Like, they were all of a sudden in that Ozuna mix, so they were looking for that righty bat with pop. I think Kevin Cash could work him in. Just to circle back on the Red Sox situation, they've got Renfroe, Verdugo, and Benintendi right now. So
Benintendi might be out.
Benintendi. If Benintendi gets dealt, then all of a sudden that certainly opens up a spot for Puig. But Benintendi's got to go. And you got JD Martinez at DH. So they are borderline crowded. If I'm Puig and I'm looking at that situation, I'm like, well, figure out what you're doing with Benintendi and then call me. But the Rays could be an interesting fit. Similarly to Ozuna, I looked at that situation. The Rays would be even more crowded in the outfield spot if they went and got him. That would be the only sticking point there, because the Rays outfield currently looks like this. They've got Meadows is set to be the DH, but they've got Meadows, Tsutsugo, Margot, Kiermaier, Arozarena. So does Kiermaier get dealt? There was talk of Kiermaier getting dealt at one point. Do they say Margot? Margot could be the one that's out. But do you value Puig that much more over Margot? I guess would be the question. Would Margot be a big enough, or would Puig be a big enough jump over Margot? Ozuna would have been. I don't know if I don't know as much about Margot there. Margot's career highs, 13 homers, 263 average. So, he doesn't have a whole lot of pop.
Factor wise, probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Puig would be an upgrade over Margot.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, White Sox are such a wagon They're my AL team. I picked them a couple years ago. I'm really gonna follow them like intensely this year, and I just Puig would have looked great there. I thought Boomstick would have looked nice, even though he went back to the Twins. Yeah, no, they're so fun.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the White Sox. I think that would put them over. That put them over the edge in the American League. They're going to get a tough run from the Twins. They'll get, when they go play the East, they'll have a tough time with the East teams outside of the Orioles. So Puig would certainly put them over the edge. Speaking of getting over the edge, guys, we are 7 likes away from 100.
Smash that like button.
Let's get that thing. Poke at that like button. Take a stab at it. We are at 143. We need 7. Can you get us there, guys? We should be there. Quite frankly, I just didn't have time to remind everybody about it because of all of the interviews we were doing. But everybody that is in here now, hit that like. Let's get this thing over 100. Let's blow by that thing. Let's wave to it as we fly past it.
Question
we
for
get this thing over. Yeah.
Is this the most people that you've had in one stream for?
No, I've had these things when there's a lot going on. Touch up to 200. The most.
No. Pardon me. I mean, in regards to guests.
In regards to guests, I have had, including you, getting me to 3. This is the most that we've had guest wise. Yep. I'm planning to keep it to at least 2 moving forward on Tuesday night. I alluded to it at the beginning. I want to try to change the format of this. I love to just talk, but I think that there's more value to bringing in people from different avenues, different walks, different teams. So I'm going to try to make this Tuesday show an area where you get me plus at least 2 other guests. So anybody that's hanging out here watching now, stay close because we had 3 tonight. If you're just checking it out now, you want to go watch the replay once we're all done because we talked Blue Jays, we talked the 2021 Series 1 release with Brian, who actually takes pictures that become baseball cards. So
which is really cool.
I found him on Instagram a year ago. I posted a picture of a card that was one of his, and I was like, no kidding. And we struck up a conversation. So, stuff like that. I want to get different walks in here. So I hope you guys enjoy that. What's our count? We got to be over 100 now, right? We got to be over. All right, we are over 100 now. So thank you everybody for pushing us over that milestone. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
We are at 107. Yeah, it is. These streams, the Tuesday night's fun. I'm looking forward to it, guys. This is kind of going to be the flagship show. This is something I want to keep going throughout. This is the one night a week where I'll do a show like this. If I pop up on any other time, it'll be completely different. This will be the one show that gets into more of like a talk show kind of thing. That's my hopes for this anyway. Sometimes I won't be able to do it. Won't be able to get the guests, or we'll have other stuff to talk about. Won't always be able to do it, but that's the goal. That's the bar for Tuesday. You've been crazy. The streams that you have had some marathon streams lately with that Bauer thing, man. I don't even know how you had the back-to-back, the 8-hour day on, what was that, Thursday, and then the 4-hour day on Friday. I got to give you some props for that because that was I know that's a lot of work.
I'm still trying to wake up from it. Yeah, I don't. That was insane. I'm beyond grateful for that again. Yeah, I think I just kind of lucked out too, and everything regarding Bow. I knew I was committed. I'm like, okay, I normally am talking regardless if the Mets will land the player or not, if it's a guy that they're heavily going after, and I know it's going to be a big discussion piece, so I want to live stream and talk about it. I always felt that was the best way to go about it. So I did the 8-hour stream because when I had you on, I was like, you know what? There's no point in me stopping now. If for whatever reason he signs tonight, then I lose all of what I built this far. Not that I can't pick it back up, but why lose it when it takes a little bit to pick it all up. And then the following day, as soon as I wake up, basically after getting like a couple hours of sleep, we see that there's a supposed timeline for Bauer, right? Man. Which is just so horseshit. So then I'm like, okay, I got to go on. So yeah, and I just looked out. No one else was doing what I was doing. So that's just trending, that's just all it is. I looked out, trended. Momentum was literally in the live stream as well. I talked with Momentum, which I thought was cool. The guy named Will, who works for them is from New York, so he's rooting for the Mets to win the sweepstakes. They didn't, as we know, but regardless of Bauer going to LA, I'm very grateful because he really helped myself reach out more in the community. So I can't complain.
What did you think about how that whole thing went down? Do you think there was a Mets deal and either the Dodgers came in and swooped in, or the Mets messed it up with the deadline? Do you feel that the Mets had him and he slipped through their grasp, or do you think it's all smokescreens?
I think from everything that I'm reading here, I think the Mets had as good of a shot as any. Yeah. But Bauer really wanted to make sure that he got a deal where he was becoming the highest paid player in baseball. That wasn't the Mets. And that being the Dodgers, LA, for him to say that geography wasn't factors, say what you will. I don't even know why you would even say that at that point, because no one is upset for the most part that you would prioritize wanting to stay in your hometown. Especially you wanting to go to the reigning champs. The Mets gave the better overall deal, but in the first 2 years, he was making more with the Dodgers as well. So the Dodgers literally they gave him the best selling point. They're like, we don't have to do much proving. The Mets have a lot of proving that they still need to do. And Bauer's in the prime of his career. He just came off of Cy Young. He wants to win a chip, at least one, because it's going to build his. If the Dodgers win it all again next season, which wouldn't be surprising, that's going to build him so much more, where he still may very well opt out and get more than $45 million for the upcoming year with, say, an opposing team. I don't think it would be impossible to say that the Mets won't be connected with Bauer again in the near future, which would be kind of bizarre. I think it would be a smack in the face to an extent. But at the end of the day, I wish the Mets landed Bauer, but I can't fault him for making his decision. It made perfect sense. He played it right. He literally changed the entire game of a baseball player approaching free agency. And the only Mets fans upset about the whole merchandise thing, we're all just upset because he didn't land with the Mets. Let's not be hypocrites here. Most Mets fans would be pretty damn ecstatic if he landed in Queens, outside of knowing it's an overpayment. But short term, there's no long-term commitment.
The video really threw me off, because I feel like he had an opportunity to create a live event. And they went with the pre-produced thing that was obviously done days in advance. I mean, there was even a Blue Jay logo in that thing, which I was like, what is that doing there?
He considered you guys.
Yeah. It was just a little shout out to the Blue Jays. So I feel like he had a opportunity to, however he wanted to do it, whether he just went live from his car and pulled up his phone and he did a selfie thing, a selfie stream from his car. But he had an opportunity, I feel, to create this live event. And because that produced thing just, I don't know, for me, it didn't hit the mark, because you had Dodgers and Mets. If you don't know which way you're going, well, then make two videos. Have a Dodger video. He did?
There's why wouldn't he? That's my assumption.
Well, so I feel like at the end, right, when he's putting the Dodgers jersey on, but I'm talking the whole thing, because the whole video long, you've got him early in the video where it's a shot from behind where he's throwing a jersey over, and he's got a Mets jersey, he's got a Dodgers jersey. Get all that stuff out of there. Have a Dodger dedicated where it's only Dodger stuff. Have an only Met have the two ready to go, only Dodgers, only Mets, because otherwise I don't know. For me, it missed the mark. Who cares what I think? I'm sure he doesn't care what I think, but I think he could have nailed it if he either would have had two separate videos, one specifically Dodgers, one specifically Mets, or if he went live. And he just went right on and he described exactly everything that just happened and, put himself out there to his fans, because Trevor Bauer fans, might not care either way. Now, maybe there would have been a Mets wave that would have just spammed the hell out of his chat room, but I don't know. That the whole thing was fascinating to watch. That was definitely one of the most chaotic free agent signings that has ever been. I think we talked about it last time we were together, talking about was there anything similar to this, and we talked about Bryce Harper and the Manny Machado thing, but even that was dwarfed by this. This definitely blew that out of the water.
I just want to conclude by saying that, Bauer's approach isn't looking at him not doing a live stream. It kind of makes sense to me, because I think he knows that there was all this pressure going on, and he wanted to make sure that everything was just solidified and not really having to worry about it a whole lot. Like if you look at when that video was recorded, it was a while ago because the same video of him in that Dodgers uniform is the same that he originally did when he did the video of should I land with the LA Dodgers a couple months prior. That same photo, same haircut and everything. Like that just shows you he has had this all pre-recorded. I'm sure it's been more than just the Dodgers. He probably did the Mets, probably did others as well. Because at the end of the day, he wanted to go with the Dodgers, but he wanted to be the highest paid. So if the Dodgers didn't make him the highest paid player and it was, say, just strictly a 1 or 2 year deal, the likelihood would be more in favor of the Mets, I would imagine. The writing was all on the wall with them. We know this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. It is what I'm more frustrated with it, knowing that he went to LA and the Dodgers and the Angels because of how much of a past, how much more of an issue that's going to be for the Mets as soon as this season and possibly the next 2 seasons should he stay there. The Mets went from having World Series aspirations should they land Bauer versus now you're worried of still winning the division first. Okay. So then now you have the Dodgers you have to worry about. They may very well match up in playoffs this year. Do I think Bauer's going to have a 1.73 ERA this year? No, I don't. But he makes that rotation insane beyond already what it is. So that's my worry with it. The fact that it is, in fact, the Dodgers. If it was the Angels, I really wouldn't care. I'm a Trevor Bauer fan. I'm still going to support him. It's not going to do it a lot during the season, but I do, in fact, appreciate the content he makes. I think momentum and the stuff they do, it's very entertaining. Not nearly enough people in baseball do it. So, I'm still always going to be following that along as much as it may kill me inside.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, Tyler, can you tell the viewers anything that you might be working on that they should keep an eye out for?
Oh, well, yeah. Again, thank you for having me on.
Thanks
Jim.
for coming on.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah, no, it was an awesome discussion. Again, if you want to talk again, just please let me know, and I'll gladly have you on my channel as well. I love people love you on my channel too. I think we have a good amount of subs, both from ours that know each other equally. It's fun too because I see like in my past couple live streams, I see like BALLCAP sent me. I'm like, oh, thanks so much, Jim. I appreciate that. Now I need to make sure to reciprocate, especially when I'm streaming the same day. That's awesome. But yeah, nothing specific right now. Just more consistent content. Expect a couple more live streams. Whenever a deal or a trade happens, I'll be live streaming because I think we all kind of agree that's probably the better approach to do it when it's happening versus trying to deep dive and not take all that time to do an initial video because everyone's doing the same thing. You got to mix it up. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Just expect more consistent content on the channel. We just passed 5K subs earlier today, so I'm very happy about that. And yeah,
congratulations.
Very excited for what the future holds. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, thank you again, Jim. I hope you have a great night, and thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to my buddy Jim over here if you haven't already. He's doing great things.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a good one, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, this has been a fun one tonight. I hope you guys are enjoying it, doing it a little bit differently tonight, bringing in more guests. That is the goal for the nightcap. And there's the logo up top with the MLB in the nightcap. I apologize to the chat. I haven't been able to spend as much time watching you guys. I have seen a lot of what you're talking about. I have not been able to respond to it. So we'll stay on for a little bit longer. If you want to fire off any questions to me, I'm happy to get to those now. I did see somebody make a comment about maybe a Taiwan Walker situation heating up. As always, the way we do things here is if you see something like that happening, make sure you send it to me on Twitter. Tweet it at me at Jim Riley Live. It has been generally kind of quiet, keeping an eye on Twitter this evening. So I have a feeling it's been a quiet night, which honestly, if I'm doing this thing, I kind of like it to be quiet because I don't want to be interrupted and have to quickly shift gears and everything. I'm not as prepared to jump into a big Taiwan Walker or any team. We try to cover everybody, try to be try to give exposure to all the big deals and all the teams that have things going on. Wardy, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Yes, hit the like. Anybody that was just here for Wardy, make sure you hit the like on the way out. Jays fans, hit that like. Let's keep this train going. We're over 100 now. Let's see how high this thing can go. Matt, do you think Bauer didn't sign with the Mets because of the allegations? I don't think that had. I honestly don't think that had any impact on there. And Kyle, thank you. Kyle, one of our members. We also have a handful of other members who I know have been in here. So I thank all of the members, David for being in here, Phil for being in here. I can't recall if we saw any of the other members in there, but thank you guys for being here. And Kyle, you are doing yeoman's work there. Kyle is our moderator. So I appreciate you kind of keeping an eye on things with the chat while we're doing these interviews. So hats off, salute to you, my friend. Thank you. Let's see, Mets Nation, are you ready for the Mets for the World Series? I think the Mets and Dodgers in the NLCS would be fantastic, and then it's just a matter of who's healthy. Price would be welcome back to the Jays from OCN Blizzard. I do agree with that, and the Red Sox are paying half the salary. If they can get the Dodgers to maybe take on a few mil of that salary too, then sure, bring David Price back. He could provide some depth. But, the question is, would David Price even play this year? Honestly, I mean, he opted out last year. And is he going to play? Is he going to play? When will Roddy Tellez get a chance from Juras? I think he's going to get a chance this year. I think that he's going to he won't get as much of a chance because, he's going to be splitting time at that DH spot. But, he could also play some first. They can move some things around and get Roddy. I'd love for Roddy to get some regular playing time, right? I don't want him to be relegated to, every 3 days we see him kind of thing. But, that's the way things are going. And unfortunately, he hasn't proven enough between the lines to this point to generate any trade value, because it'd be nice to send him maybe somewhere where he will get some full run, and he's just going to have a tough time finding that at this point. Mets need more hitting. More hitting? Do they need more hitting? They have so much hitting right now. NL East predictions from William. William, good to see you in here. I will go Braves and Mets at the top, Nats, Phillies, and Marlins. I think the Braves and Mets make the playoffs. Gurriel will hit 30 home runs. Would love to see that. I would love to see Kyle. I'm with you. I would love to see Roddy play every day. German Marquez or Sonny Gray? Would you rather? I would pick Gray first, but Marquez would be right behind Ben. That's my feeling there. Mets are going to trade J.D. Davis from Evan. That's one of their trade pieces. But again, how much trade value does he have? He was great in 2019. Sort of scuffled a little bit in 2020, but again, here at the channel, we're not drinking the Kool-Aid on anybody who went over the top in 2020, and we're not bashing anybody who struggled. But for trade purposes, for contract purposes, that's what teams are going off of. That's why Bauer got his big deal. He got his big deal off of that 2019 or 2020 Cy Young. Let's see here. JD is a bad defender. Right. Mets have that issue. Anybody that is just checking out the channel for the first time on this Tuesday night, make sure you subscribe. Stay close to the channel. A lot more good stuff coming. Would love for you to join the community that we're trying to build. William, I'm actually thinking about that. I am going to reach out to Robbie, and I want to try to get him on the Tuesday night stream in the next couple of weeks. It's hard because he does his own stream, but I do want to reach out to Robbie and try to get something scheduled. I actually have a plan in mind for how Robbie and I would do something. And I don't want to spoil that here, but I do have some thoughts. I need to approach Robbie with those. He doesn't know about them yet, but I do think that I'm going to try to get a situation going with Robbie here in the next few weeks. Underrated Jays prospect that you like? It's a good question. I'm going to have to pull up the Jays list. Are we still going to count Alejandro Kirk? I mean, he's underrated in baseball circles. I don't think he's underrated in Blue Jay circles at this point. Who do I like? Underrated Blue Jays prospect. So we're going to go outside of the top 10. I'm going to go to somebody who's not even on the list. I'm going to say Zack Britton, the hitter, not the pitcher, right? The pitcher's well established. He's on the Yankees, but the hitter who was drafted in 2020. BALLCAP talk. We can talk about that. I think, have we talked about that? DM me on Twitter. Let's talk about it. I'm going to go with Zack Britton. He's not even on MLB.com's top 30. I'm going to go with Zack Britton. I think he is my underrated guy. He was a 4th-round pick in the most recent draft. It's one of those things where he's probably not showing up because of a couple of reasons. A lot of this the top prospects, it's the same as it was last year, plus Austin Martin, because guys didn't get to move up. They didn't get to either flounder. They didn't get to move up and exceed. I mean, Nate Pearson, Alejandro Kirk, Patrick Murphy, Julian Merriweather, TJ Zeuch, whatever it is. They all played last year, and if it was a full season, they probably would have exhausted their prospect eligibility. They're still prospects because they didn't get to play enough. Nate Pearson's still considered a prospect. I'm not adding Adam because Adam's in the top 10. That's the only reason why I don't have Adam. I wanted to go outside of that top 10. So I go Zack Britton because if those 5 guys had played on the team for a 162-game season, they probably exhaust their prospect eligibility. So you would have had 5 new guys in there, and I think Zack Britton would have been one of them. Again, 4th-round pick most recently. I think Zack Britton will be there next year. And if they update, I don't think they update it. Somebody may know the answer to this. Does MLB.com update their prospect ranking through the season as players exhaust their prospect eligibility? Like Nate Pearson is going to start with the club unless he gets hurt. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Nate Pearson could have his prospect eligibility exhausted by the end of April. So will they take him off the list? I don't know. Let's see. They do. Rocky, thank you for that update. Don't sleep on Peridino. Peridino follows me on Twitter, by the way. And I look forward to having him on here one day. So he and I have exchanged some DMs. So I hope to maybe have him on here one day. And so they do. So thank you, Rocky, for that. And that'll be something to watch because I think Zack Britton will move on to that thing pretty quickly. Would love to get Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray would be a nice move. We talked about it with Tyler. And I really think that Sonny Gray, you give him a chance to pitch against the Yankees, I think he would excel in that position. So let's go. If they could get Sonny Gray here without having to give up too much, I have a feeling the Reds are asking for too much in return. What will happen with Zack Britton? Exactly. That's what we need, Jurass. We need to get Zack Britton to the major leagues while the pitcher Zack Britton is still with the Yankees so they can face each other. Jose Bautista should sign a one-day contract if retires. Why don't they just sign Jose Bautista and let him pitch, right? He was trying to come back as a pitcher. Sign him right before a series against the Rangers. Jays fans, I know you're down with this. Sign Jose Bautista to a one-day contract right before they face the Rangers. Let him pitch against Rougned Odor. Can we get that's fantasy land. That's not going to happen, but wouldn't that be amazing? That would be just wonderful. Odor better watch out. That ball's coming in. What do you think the Reds are looking for in return from the Jays for Castillo? Anthony, I'm telling you, it's probably Bo Bichette. If they wanted Gleyber Torres from the Yankees, they're going to want Bo Bichette from the Blue Jays. And I'm not, I don't want to do that. Yes, matchup of the century. Yes, that would be great. Again, anybody just finding us for the first time, make sure you subscribe. This Tuesday night thing is the regular. It's really the one regular guaranteed live stream that I'll do every week. Everything else is sort of pop up as needed. If anything big happens, for sure want to get that. Yes, gotta like that. Justin, for sure. How much would it cost for Gray? Right. All right, so let's go. Yeah, no go for Bo. Exactly. Let's see here. And let him punch Odor back. Right. That ball would be coming in. That would be, and then Odor even try to charge the mound. And let's make sure Edwin's in the crowd too. Can we do that? Can we make sure Edwin's in the crowd and like Josh Donaldson, maybe the Twins are on an off day and he could be there too. Let's get the gang back together and just, go get him. Most likely player gone by opening day, Roark or Grichuk. I don't know if they're going to be able to get rid of that Roark contract. I think they're going to be stuck with that. And if Grichuk could get them back something valuable in return. So if I had to pick one, I would probably say Grichuk. Let's see here. Hey, no problem, Hayden. Catch the replay, buddy. Catch the replay. If anybody catch the replay from the jump, you're going to see little technical difficulties. I am going to have to cut out. We had I was trying to add some new technology in. That bombed. Then I had an audio issue. I couldn't hear anybody, which normally that wouldn't matter, but with guests, that's a problem. So we're going to be cutting that. Anybody that wants to catch the technical difficulties, you're going to want to fire up that replay as soon as we're done, because as soon as it's done uploading, I'm cutting that out. We're going to get that thing cleaned up. Rockies trading Trevor Story. I have a feeling they'll hold on to Trevor Story until, maybe the trading deadline. I think the Rockies will maybe just probably want to see how they're going to do. And if it's not going well, maybe then they make the move. Maybe then they do. Let's see. Thank you, everybody, for the mentions on Twitter. Appreciate that. Again, thanks to Tyler for being here. Nice shout out on Twitter. Appreciate that. Let's see. Hire Gibby for a few days. Yeah, just bring everybody back. Let's get a old timers day going on and make sure Rugnet Odor's on the other side. Yes, definitely catch it later for sure. Turner is leaving the Dodgers. La Savage Gamer. I think that's going down. I feel like it's Brewers unless he goes to the Dodgers on like a 1-year deal for $1 million if he just decides to go chase another ring. But I don't think he's going to do that. He probably wants to get a couple years. He wants to play. He'll play, but I think he wants to get paid too. What about Navarro at catcher? I mean, the catcher situation is crazy. I don't even know why the Blue Jays were mentioned with Molina. They've got Jansen and Kirk. Let's go with that. Let's see what we got, right? Exactly. What smells? What's that odor? I'm puzzled by the Dodgers are interested in trading for Garrett Cooper. Yeah, that makes no sense, Midwest Sports. I think I saw that too. I don't get that. I don't get that. I'm thinking about that. I'm trying to come up with something like, what's the angle there? And I got nothing. I hate to say it. I'm going to pull up his player page. I got nothing. He's, maybe you stick him at first base because you're going to move Muncy to third and you want to keep Bellinger in the outfield. So if you can get Cooper for nothing, I guess, because Muncy will be your third baseman, maybe that's it. Cooper had a nice 2019 and nice. It was okay. Maybe he does better in that lineup. So if they don't give up anything, I could see that. KD, will Braun retire? I think so. I think that's it. I am pumped. I'm pumped for players to catch reporting. I love when you get guys that on their Twitter accounts or Instagram accounts, like they're posting pictures, videos, more so videos than the photos of them, doing their warm-ups. A few years ago, I think it was Sergio Romo just had the video of him doing a bullpen session, and just the sounds. Love the sounds. So that's good. I'm excited for that. And then when we actually get some games broadcast, that's going to be great. I'm glad that they didn't push this thing back. I don't think there's going to be much difference if they start now or if they start in a month. Just let's get it going. Where did Turner go? Turner hasn't gone anywhere, but it is all sort of indications are that it could be the Brewers. The Braves have been mentioned. The Mets have been mentioned. I think it's most likely to be the Brewers. Is Randy Arozarena overrated? Well, probably kind of, yeah. After that postseason, if that's what we're going to expect from him moving forward, that's insane. I think that he's going to be a very good player. I don't think he's going to do what he did during the playoffs all the time. So it just depends on what do you think. If you think he comes down to earth, then he's properly rated. If anybody thinks that's who he's going to be moving forward, it might be a little overrated. Evan have it with the underrated. I guess it all depends on your take, how you're sort of looking at it. I think, again, if you think he's going to do what he did during the postseason, that might be overrating him a little bit. But if you bring him back a little bit, bring him down to earth, 30 homers, I think Randy Arozarena will have a good season. It's just a matter of how do you look at it? Where do you look at him? What did he put up? Let's see. during the regular season, only 76 plate appearances, did hit 7 homers during the regular season, and then went off in the postseason. I mean, the Cardinals, coming up with the Cardinals, he was a decent prospect. He wasn't this. He wasn't their top prospect. I don't even think he was a top 5 prospect or top 10 prospect in the Cardinals system. So he got to Tampa and figured it out. I do think he will be a great player. I don't want to, I'm not trying to short sell him. I do think he's going to be a great player. And as a Blue Jays fan, having to deal with Randy Arozarena now for the next handful of years is not a good thought. He's only 24 years old. So we got a lot of Randy Arozarena that we're going to see. Let's see here. I hope they can play at Rogers Center. I do too. I have a feeling it'll start down in Florida though. But I mentioned it the other day. I feel like, is he number 100 in baseball right now? I don't know. I have to look at that. Wouldn't it be cool if the Jays were able to get back and play in Rogers Center for Canada Day or something like that? They start the season down in Florida, work with the government, figure it out, and try to get them back there for Canada Day. Do something like that. Could be, just a meaningful moment. Even if they're not allowing fans in, it would still be, I think, meaningful to have them back there. But we'll see. Let's see. Who do you think will win? Who do I think will be in? I'm probably going to go Dodgers and White Sox at this point. That's for sure. That was my prediction a few weeks ago before the Bauer thing, and I'm going to stick with that until I think somebody eclipses what the White Sox have done. Blue Jays need to make some more pitching moves to do that. The Yankees could be in the mix, but I'm worried about injury problems for the Yankees, so I'm going to stick with the White Sox. I would love a Dodgers versus Yankees World Series. That would be my second most preferable. Obviously, what I would prefer would be Dodgers and Blue Jays, but if I can't get that, I would love Dodgers and Yankees just for the historical reference, right? That it's really not a rivalry anymore because they don't play that often. But just from the historical part of baseball, I think that would be cool. Braves versus Jays. It will be interesting. A Jays and Mets World Series would be fascinating. A Dodgers and Mets NLCS, Dodgers and Padres, with all of this offseason maneuvering by players and teams, there's going to be some fascinating storylines come October with some potential matchups here. I do think the Dodgers will give Corey Seager a contract extension. I do. I would bet everything I got on it. I would for sure. I definitely think they will. Anybody just hanging out, just coming in the last few minutes, make sure you hit that like. Let's see how high we can get this thing to. I actually don't know what the number is. Let me refresh it. We want to try to get this thing up. It will help the channel. It helps me. It gets this thing out to more eyeballs. We're at 120. So I appreciate everybody that has hit the like. I'm seeing a lot of names. A lot of folks have been here for a while. So thank you. For everybody who's been in here for a while with this thing. This has been a fun stream tonight, and I hope you have appreciated it. We're at 121. Make sure you hit that like, and again, subscribe. If you're just coming across the channel, this is, baseball is life here on BALLCAP Sports, and if that resonates with you, if baseball is life for you too, then this is a good place for you. Come on and join our community. KD, smash that like. Good. How's your phone? You didn't crack your phone, did you? I know most of you, I did a poll a few weeks ago. Most of you guys watch on your phones. I think it was overwhelming. 90% watching on the phones. It's crazy. And that what's funny about that, I do have it pinned. We do have subscriptions. We have memberships, I should say, for the channel. Now you get some badges and some emojis, and there'll be some exclusive member-only videos. But you got to get to a desktop to find all the information. It's impossible to find it on a phone. So if you're interested in a membership, that is available. You can get all the details on the homepage of the channel, and every penny that comes in from that is reinvested back into the channel. Kyle watches on the iPad. Every penny is reinvested into the channel for giveaways and upgraded technology, which, has evidence from the start of today's stream. Could have used something maybe a little bit better. Anyway, it's all good. But we've had a fun Tuesday, and I hope you guys have too. We talked Blue Jays with the guys from Blue Jays today. We talked baseball cards with Brian Rothmuller on the eve of the 2021 Series 1 release. Big errors on the laptop. 90% on the phones, which was a very high number, higher than I thought. Higher than I thought. Hey, guess who? Hey, Jim Singh. The MLB is getting new baseballs for next. Oh yeah, let's talk about the baseballs for a second. Mets Nation, welcome in. I'm happy to. I love having you here. Thank you for guess who for bringing that in. Did you see the news about the baseballs and the humidors? It had been 5 teams that were using humidors. 5 more are using humidors, and the baseballs are going to be made in a way to where they're not going to be as bouncy. I mean, why do we got to do that? Already, so when you put a ball in the humidor, it exposes it to moisture, which makes it travel less. Doesn't travel as far. So we got that on top of a third of the league using humidors to store the ball. Now teams that do it, that use the humidors are in areas that are dry, right? So they're trying to even it out. But I'm not a fan of this. Forgiveness for love. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I'm not a fan. I want home runs. I want pitchers to be great because they're great. I want pitchers to be great because they have great sinking action or rising action or RPMs or generate a lot of swings and misses. That's why I want it to be great. I don't want a pitcher to be great because the ball has been made less bouncy and it is stored in a humidor. That's what I don't want. I don't know. That's just my feeling on that. Put the ball in a dark room, leave it be. Let's not alter it. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. It'd be very interesting to see how it plays out. Thank you for bringing that up. I did want to mention that, and we get to that here. As we approach the midnight part of this Tuesday / Wednesday. Anyway, so we had some great guests tonight. I appreciate everybody for being here. It is midnight on the East. What we are going to do is kind of wind it down a little bit. Again, I appreciate everybody for being in here. It has been a fun evening. I thank you all for spending your Tuesday here. Keep in mind, we'll be back next Tuesday for another nightcap. Going to try to lock in some guests for that one. I've got some feelers out to try to get something going. Anybody maybe just hopped in the last few minutes, catch the replay. Orioles 2041. I know it is getting late for me, and I got to wind down. Otherwise, I'll be up all night, and I got kids, so I can't do that. So if you catch that replay, it will upload and then be available for anybody that wants to go back and watch any of the interviews. I will probably, just because it seems to work out where that more folks will find it, I will probably take the interview with Brian and the interview with the guys, Nick and Adam from Blue Jays today. I'll probably actually take some pieces from that and upload those. So those will be available. If you want to watch those and only those, we'll have those. I'll probably take a couple pieces of that. Anyway, thank you guys for spending your Tuesday evening here. Again, thank you to Kyle for being the moderator and keeping an eye on things. Kyle, I am going to get you some help. I think we need to get 1 or 2. Again, I hope you like the BALLCAP formal. I put on a collar and a half zip doing the formal look. I haven't actually put on a half zip and a collar in over a year. So it's for you guys. Thank you again for being in here. Thank you for spending your Tuesday night. As always, make sure to like on your way out. Subscribe if you're just finding the channel for the first time. We'll be back if anything crazy happens. I have a feeling between now and next Tuesday, the Jays will do something that will bring me back. We could see a trade, so keep an eye out. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the alerts if you want, so that way when I go live or when I have the content going out, you get it quick and you get it fresh. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and make sure you stay close. Good night, everybody. Have a good evening.